Welcome back to All Philly All the Time. I'm Owen.
And I'm Parker.
And unfortunately, Luke is not here because he is in Canada.
Yes, he is.
First member of the podcast ever. You've never been to Canada.
I have.
You have?
I was
when?
in Canada. I like middle school, maybe.
Really?
I was in Canada.
All right. Yep. I just completely botched this intro then by lying. Second member of the podcast.
It's only you now, Owen. You're the only one that has been to Canada.
Dang it.
You got to hop on the Canadian train, you know? Or do they even have those up there?
They probably have trains.
I think they only have dog sleds. When you're listening to our podcast, the glass is never half empty. It's never half full as well. It's always just completely full.
Yes, that's how I would describe our podcast.
I would like to say that my view is generally the glass is partially full.
In Canada. Hop on the dog sled and go to Canada.
That would be... Luke didn't take a dog sled, unfortunately.
He didn't.
He should ride one in Canada, though.
That's true. Do you know, what is he doing? What is he doing?
I know that the idea...
I didn't talk to him too much about his Canadian adventure. And is it just him or is it his family?
It is him and a friend from college.
Okay. And he had to get a passport for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were talking at some point. I know that this idea was birthed from them both being foodies and talking about Michelin 5-star restaurants.
Gotcha.
And I think the person he's going with was like, well, the closest one geographically to us is in Canada. And they somehow figured out, they're like, yeah, we have this 3-day weekend that will work out. And so they're both like, let's just go to Canada then, and we'll go to a 5-star restaurant.
I love that. I love that because I
need to get his review.
Oh yeah, we do. We totally do. I was just yesterday. I was just you just look at all these amazing foods in the world, and it's like, man, I am so hungry. And now you're making me hungry, Owen. I forgot to eat breakfast and lunch because I was just doing stuff and
breakfast
so
and lunch.
Yeah. So now you're making me really hungry.
Jeez.
But that's all right.
Sorry.
We'll persevere.
Okay.
We'll persevere. Yeah.
Yeah. That's something that I'm trying to grow in, enjoying food, because I do not look at the world that way of like, oh, there's all this great food out there and I'm so hungry and I can't wait to enjoy it. Luke loves to bring up the fact that I'm on record saying that if there was a pill that you could just take that gave you all your nutrients for the day, I would choose that.
Oh, that is disappointing.
Because I'm a slow eater. I feel like pressure to eat fast enough, so I have a hard time enjoying it. I also I don't know, I don't get like that excited about it.
It's just you though. Embrace you, you know?
Yeah, I'm fine embracing it, but then Grace and Luke tell me the opposite. Do not embrace it, Owen. You need to enjoy food.
Well, I'm telling you to embrace it.
Now I have conflicting.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting me, Parker.
Yeah, which voice are you going to listen to?
Parker's always here for me.
The one on your left shoulder or your right shoulder?
Oh, are you saying you're the angel and it's the devil?
I didn't say that directly. I think you said that, actually.
You implied it.
No, the words came out of your mouth. You hear that, Luke? It came out of Owen's mouth. No, but I mean, food is something that, I know we're a sports podcast, but we embrace food on this podcast.
Yes,
we had
our history.
Yeah, sweet, salty, spicy, super sandwich segment way back in the day. We ate some of the craziest sandwiches you can even imagine. Yeah. So we embrace food here.
You tried soup for the first time in your life, allegedly, on the podcast.
That's the only time I've ever eaten. And it was only like one bite too. So I've only had like one bite of soup ever, and it was on the podcast. So yeah, we love food. Obviously, Chick-fil-A, we've talked a lot about chicken strips. We converted you from chicken strips to chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
So we have a deep history. We do. We have a deep history here at All Philly, all Philly all the time.
In All Sports all the time history, that was also,
Exactly. Circa All Philly all the time.
Yes, exactly.
All the time. So we do. We have a deep history. And now I'm just on the Kava train. Or the Kava bobsled, I should say.
Yeah.
Because I just am obsessed with Kava. I do have to shout out here. I have clients of mine just because I do real estate stuff. And I showed a bunch of houses to them. Didn't end up getting a house. They didn't end up buying a house. They ended up renting, right? Which happens, Like, you can't control that. And they found a great rental. They're happy, so I'm happy. But they didn't end up buying a house with me, so I didn't get paid or anything like that. and I was driving up to Lebanon a lot, and so Lebanon's pretty far from me.
Yeah.
But yesterday, 2 days ago, in the mail, they sent me $100 Kava gift card.
Worth it.
Yep,
All the
$100.
effort.
And for me, that is huge. That thing might
Worth
be
its
gone
weight
in a
in
week.
gold.
Yes, but it's like, man, this is just amazing, and I appreciate them so much for that. And
That's
so
so funny.
I made sure to say thank you. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just super happy when I saw that, and I was not expecting that too. I think they called my dad to figure out what restaurant.
Oh man, they did research.
Yeah, they did research. So that's how
Nice.
they knew.
I assume that they just knew you were obsessed with Kava from being around you.
That was actually before I was in my Kava era.
Oh wow.
It was maybe I was just starting, but it was like last winter.
Oh,
it was like
okay.
over a year ago, basically.
Okay.
I was still more Chick-fil-A at that point.
Gotcha.
I've transitioned now.
Yeah.
Transitioned into more Kava. So
Interesting. Yeah. If any of you were ever wondering if you ever need to get Parker a gift, Kava gift card.
my grandma
That's
asked me
not
what
a
I want
problem.
for Christmas. I was like, she's like, okay, we're gonna do one gift, one $20 gift card, and then a couple stocking stuffers. Like, just shoot
That's a
me a
good
text
system.
message. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just told my grandma, I was like, just a Kava gift card. That's literally
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
She's like, what
Easy.
about the stocking stuffers? I was like, more Kava
Also-
gift card. That's what I said.
Gift cards definitely also qualify as stocking stuffers.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think that is a valid request.
So anyway, yeah, that's definitely just shows you what I'm eating right now. And I know all the employees now. So
Yeah.
I was over there the one day, and the one employee, she was like, are you like, do you cook yourself? I started laughing. I was
You
like,
definitely noticed that you've been in there a lot.
I started laughing. She was like, oh, I was like, well, why do you think I'm in here all the time? I was like, no, I said, I need to get better at that. That's what I said. And I was like, well, there's a reason I'm here all the time.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, we both have things to work on.
Yeah.
You are going to work on learning how to cook, and I'm going to work on learning how to enjoy food more.
right.
So
I think we have areas to grow.
Yeah.
Look at us.
it's not even New
So
Year's yet.
mature.
And we're already
Oh
we're
my
ahead of the
goodness,
game.
we're ahead of 2025.
Yeah.
We're coming for you, 2025.
Mhm.
We're maturing already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we can see where we need to grow.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
we're so mature. That's one thing people have always said about us. is
That's
that
true.
We're mature. That's
that's
Never been a doubt.
very common syllable that I hear.
this podcast. Mature.
Yeah, that's
Most mature podcast you've ever seen.
yeah, rated M for mature.
We don't-
Isn't that what they say?
yeah, they do. They do say. Yeah, we would be rated. We're kid friendly. We're family friendly.
Okay. So we're not rated M
So
for
that
mature.
yeah. That is weird. That's weird that they do it that way. That like you can't be mature with. Anyway, we don't have to go down the rabbit hole of ratings of movies. I think that's only for video games. Video games they do M for mature.
Okay.
I don't think movies, but that's a whole different rabbit trail. If you guys saw the episode title, which I'm assuming you did, normally that's something that you see when you click on an episode, we will be grading the 76ers players for their individual performance so far this season.
Yeah, I mean, some of them have played really well. We're not going to spoil anything, but you might know already. Some of them played really bad. So we're here to grade them. We're going to
Yeah.
grade them based off of a scale, okay? What's our grading scale? Are we doing this out of 10, out of 100? Is it on an A to F tier?
When I think grades, I think, like school.
School grades.
the school
what about
grading
S?
scale.
What about S tier?
Well, that's not a school. The A+, A minus, B+, all the,
All right.
yeah.
So then we
So-
could also, that's out of 100 though. Like the school.
That is also out of 100.
Right.
So we could do the like percent out of 100, and then that correlates
yeah,
with
correlates with
a
the
letter
I think we should
grade.
do like a letter
So
grade.
we can do that. Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
So these are the Sixers report cards so far this season. We're starting off with Tyrese Maxey.
It's been up and down with Tyrese Maxey.
He's
So
been very inefficient.
yeah, he started off the year first 8 to 10 games of the season, was shooting a lot. Obviously, they didn't have Paul George and Joel, but he wasn't efficient at all. He still isn't efficient.
Yeah.
So, and then he got hurt. He missed a couple games. Now he's back. and he might not even be the premier guard on the Sixers right now.
Somehow, yeah.
Right, like his shooting numbers, like his points per game is actually higher than McCain, but his shooting numbers are way more inefficient.
Yes.
He always has that quick burst of energy, which I love. Gets downhill, gets to the rim, but he's missing those, like the interior finishes. Just feels like he hasn't quite been as good as last year.
Oh, definitely not as good as last year. Yeah. He's stepped up late in the game a couple of times.
He's
when
still the
needed
go-to
him
guy
to.
right now
Yeah.
for the Sixers.
He's hit some big shots at the end of games, made a lot of clutch free throws to close out games. So of the Sixers' 6 wins, they could have less without Tyrese Maxey. So he's being asked a lot.
Yeah.
And so I think we do have to factor that into his grade with the expectations. He's not supposed to be the number 1 on the team. He's supposed to be the number 2.
And people have him, like, they've seen tape on him for over a year now, right? It's not like he's a rookie anymore in the league.
Yeah.
You've never seen him before. So, players, you can start to pick up on tendencies. And so it gets harder as you've been in the league a couple more years. That's why superstars are so crazy, because it's like, man, they keep doing this even though everybody knows what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Tyrese, he hasn't been a superstar so far this year. I think that's a very I don't think that's controversial. I think that's just like a fact, really.
Yeah. I would say the fact that he hasn't been a superstar, and that would you say he was a superstar last year, or like borderline superstar last year? So I would say because of that, I don't think we can put him in the A
I agree.
category. He can't get higher than a 90.
Well,
somewhere in the B range.
Are we basing this based off of our expectation of where they should be and how they've lived up to that, or just them as a player in general?
I think expectations have to be factored in because
so them as a player, but expectations factored in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that a guy performing well in his role, like an average role player, you could give him an A because he's doing what he's supposed to do well. You wouldn't give a role player a C just because he's not scoring 25 a game.
I got
so
you.
I think we want to grade them based off of the expectations.
All right. I think he's been very inefficient.
Yes.
So for that reason, I think I'm going to go with like a B minus,
Okay,
because the expectation is, okay, man, if he takes the extra step, we literally have a superstar player. Like that would be an A.
Yeah.
Right. He hasn't done that. He's actually underperformed a little bit. I don't think it's fair to give Tyrese anything in the C category.
I would agree.
So I'm going to go with a solid 81, 82 B minus, because he's too good to be a mediocre player. Like he's a really good player. He's just been inefficient. So I'm going to go with the B minus.
I like that. I agree. I think that I'm mostly gonna side with your official ruling. Like, all right, this is our.
And we can merge them too. So if you think he's a B,
we average it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I would also go B minus. I'll go with 82, so we can like an average, a B minus 82.
Yep, I like
for
that.
Tyrese Maxey, because he hasn't been like atrocious, but definitely below expectations, and you wouldn't be thrilled with his performance so far. So B minus feels fair. Next, the big man Joel Embiid. This grade is going to be interesting. Obviously, health factors in.
Right. Well, he's played what, 4 or 5? 4 games still.
So his
4 games.
In school you have the in class participation grade, the attendance. He's not doing well in attendance or in class participation.
No, I think he would have been kicked out of the school at this point. Like,
well, he's kicked out of the award eligibility, so that's basically the same. That's very similar.
Yes, because I mean, if you miss this much time in school, like you're just not even. They kick you out of the school. You're not a member of the school anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, Joel Embiid, is he even a part of this team? Because it doesn't seem like he wants to be. He, even in the 4 games that he has played, the very small sample size that we've seen, he hasn't been good. He hasn't been good on defense, which is where he's supposed to, be the anchor, right? For this team. Last year you saw splits when he was on and off the court of just dramatic numbers. They were
every year.
They were like minus, I think they were like -7 or -8 without Embiid, and then they were +7 with Embiid. Like it was a 15, 16 point swing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that in the 4 games that he's played. He looked slow. He looked out of shape. And there's been reports from the team that he has been late to practice. He's obviously dealing with tons of knee problems. And, you can't put that all on Joel. And I'm sure that's frustrating for him, to be dealing with that. he's been injury riddled his entire career, and like if I was in his shoes, I'd be so mad. I would just want to be playing. I don't know if Embiid wants to be playing. Like, he just doesn't seem like he has any willingness to perform, be there. He just is kind of there. He's just sitting the bench, not really doing a whole lot, and he's supposed to be the leader of this team.
I think that he does want to play. We've seen him play through so many injuries in previous years. Like, he's played through some ridiculous things. So I don't think it's entirely fair to throw all of that out from previous seasons.
But you have reports earlier this year.
Those are concerning.
Yeah, that he's never going to play a back-to-back. And he said that. That was his words. He's like, I'm never playing a back-to-back again in my career.
I think you can spin that, though, as he's evaluated, okay, in previous seasons, I keep getting hurt, and then I'm hurt in the playoffs. So he's like, I think that he's trying to do what's best for the team and pull back in the regular season so that he can be healthy, because all he cares about is winning a championship.
Yeah, but I don't think that's his decision to make. Like, there's literally coaches. He's not the coach. Like,
did the coaches push back and say like that they disagreed with this decision?
I don't think so. I think it was a conjoint decision. But him saying that to the media, like, I'm never playing,
not a good PR move.
No, and then you also
That's
like,
true.
What is that? How does that look like to other teams? Like you're just what? It looks like you're soft. Like, it looks like you're soft as a Sixers fan base. So, I don't support what he was saying there. You know, even if he's never, like, that's okay. It's just like, man, like, look at all this revenue. Like, even the entire like 76ers organization, like, what, you're not going to be able to sell quite as many tickets even. Like, you're hurting everybody. Like, you're hurting the coach, the general manager, like, you're hurting the entire team when you're not playing. So anyway, Embiid's been very frustrating, obviously. Expectation was, hey, he's going to be okay for the season. You know, he's not going to play back-to-backs, but he'll be all right.
When he does play.
Right. He'll be great when he does play.
Yeah.
He hasn't been great when he's played. Yeah. He hasn't even looked like an all-star caliber player. So that being said, I'm going to go pretty low here.
Yeah.
Like, it's, for me, originally I wanted to say F, but I can't do that because, you know, it's still Embiid and he's still a really good player when he plays. He's only played 4 games. Like, so
not much to go.
I don't know. Like, it might have to be an F because he's only played 4 games and he hasn't been good in those 4 games. So it might have to default be an F, but I'm gonna give him like a D minus.
That's exactly. I was gonna go D minus because
I don't want to give him an F. And
I think it would be F if he hadn't played at all.
Yeah. I mean, it would have to.
Like, he did try to come back and it didn't go well, and they were like, all right, scrap that. We gotta have him sit again. So yeah, I think D minus is.
I want to see better leadership though.
With.
Like, he's the best player. Like, we got to see some leadership from him. Showing up to practice late makes me so mad. Like, why would you do that? As
we talked about that in the last episode. Yeah.
What is that? What does that set? Like, what precedent does that set? Anyway, we'll move on from Embiid.
We could rant about Embiid.
He's been frustrating
a long time, and I'm sure we will be having more discussions about Embiid in future episodes. So there will be plenty to talk about with that. D minus for Joel Embiid. I think that's very fair, unfortunately.
Yep.
Paul George. We start out with the big 3. We have to. They're the most important to this team. Paul George is very interesting because he's had up and down games. He, like Embiid, hasn't played, hyperextended his knee twice, but there have also been very good flashes that we've seen. So I think there's a lot of things to work through.
Yeah, I've seen flashes. What, the other night he had he dropped like 29 or 31 or something like that. But his defense, man.
Yep.
It's so fun to watch. Like, I've seen flashes of that Indiana Pacers Paul George. And maybe it's only been 2 minutes at a time, but
it's there.
It's there. Like, I've seen it, you know? So it gives me some hope, especially if his injury doesn't seem quite as bad as Embiid's. I don't know what's going on with Embiid, but he's hyperextended his knee, obviously, as Owen just said. I think long-term, though, I think he's going to be okay. As long as he can just continue to stay healthy. I really like what he's doing out there on the court. He gets his buckets, but he doesn't take away from everybody else. He picks and chooses his spots. Very active hands, long wing, you know, can dig in on the defensive end, but is a good shot creator, good, like, I know I said his shot wasn't smooth. I don't know what I was. It's smooth, okay? It was just it was because he was in Los Angeles. That's why.
It just didn't look right there.
It didn't look right in that jersey, in the Clippers jersey, okay?
Because they look so different than
In the Sixers jersey, though. No, in the Sixers jersey, I'm telling you, man, he looked smooth. So I do like what I see. He obviously hasn't played as much as some of the other guys. He's been out about half of the season. So
that, I think that has to take away
it does
the fact that
away.
he has missed time.
But it's a
has to
lot
take
better
away.
than Embiid. A lot better.
Yeah, I think we're with Maxey being a B- as our baseline.
Right.
I feel comfortable having Paul George be a B, slightly above Maxey.
I agree.
Based on expectations.
I think it's a low B though. It's like an 84. Maxey was an 82.
Misses. Okay.
Yeah, because he's played less than Maxey, right? But he has looked really solid and he's lived up to my expectations when he's been out there. So I think 84 is good. If he would have been playing more, didn't get injured, could have been up into the A range, but 84 is a good number.
I like that. A solid B for Paul George.
Yep.
Next, I think this, not to spoil it, but I feel like this should be the highest grade that we give out. Jared McCain, rookie sensation, because expectations are so low for rookies that he's been so amazing.
Yeah, going into the year, we were like, okay, we just need McCain to develop a little bit so we can have him as like a possible option in the playoffs, right? But as soon as he got his opportunity, he delivered, right? He had what, 5 games in a row above 20 points.
Yep.
Then he had one that was like 18 points. Then another like 2 or 3 that were above 20. So he's been averaging, I think, it's like 22 points per game or something when he's been the starter.
The starter, yeah.
Yeah. He obviously had a couple games where he was getting like 12 minutes at the beginning of the year and I had like 6 points per game.
And even recently, like the last game that the Sixers played, he wasn't starting and people were all complaining in the comment section, which is a crazy thing that if I told you like 2 months ago, hey, Sixers fans in December will be livid that Jared McCain isn't starting.
Right, and he's
crazy.
He's the rookie of the year favorite right now. And so at the beginning of the year, like we were like, man, we just need this guy to like, he seems to be a good shooter. Like, let's just get him to space the floor. You know, he's still, we were talking about this last week, but he is a little bit of a liability on defense. You saw it again. I was watching the game 2 days ago. He just gets back cut a little too easily. It's stuff that he can grow and learn from. Like, I'm not too concerned about that long term. And he still fights to get rebounds. Like, rebounding is more of a mindset thing, and he does try and battle in there. And he's athletic. He's very athletic. So, and he's got an amazing jump shot. Doesn't get sped up at all. So he's the rookie of the year favorite, which at the beginning of the season, it was like plus 8,000 or something ridiculous. Nobody thought he was going to do anything, but he's been getting opportunity. He's been delivering on that opportunity. So for me, it's clearly above 90 in terms of the scale. I just have to figure out how high I want to go. Why don't you? Do you have a number?
I would consider A+, because I don't really see how he could do better than what he's doing right now. He's exceeded all expectations by a mile. If you win Rookie of the Year, that literally, like, you couldn't have done better. You were the best rookie, and maybe if you were a top 3 pick, that's a bit more expected. But to be the Rookie of the Year favorite in being picked in the middle of the first round, I would go maybe not like 100% A+, but like 98, 99 A+.
Right. I'd go A. Because the defensive aspect, there's Sixers are still, they've only have 6 wins, right? I think I could go A+ if they had a winning record and McCain was playing a large part of their team. They still only have 6 wins, and McCain's been playing a lot of the games, right? So he's stepped up in his opportunity, but they still aren't converting to wins. A part of that is because he is scoring on offense, but he's given up easy buckets every single game. Like, every game I watch, he gives up easy buckets. So even though he's getting a lot of points, he's giving it back on the defensive end. So he is the Rookie of the Year favorite. You're right. I just can't give him an A+ because he is more of a liability right now in defense. So
that's fair.
Can
we give him the highest A possible?
Yeah.
Still an A? But...
96. Let's give him like a 96.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
second highest.
Or
A.
97 is. Well, I would give him a 96. I want a 96.
Okay, 96.
Yeah.
We'll go 96 and A for Tyrese Maxey. Don't be shocked if that's the highest one that we give out.
He's definitely overperformed.
Absolutely. Kelly Oubre. This is another we're getting into. These are gonna, all be interesting. Of course, this is all an interesting discussion. But Kelly Oubre really struggled from 3-point range early in the year. He started to bring it back as of late. So I'm right off the bat, I'm thinking like pretty mid-range, like about what we expected, maybe slightly worse.
Yeah, he hasn't been very efficient from three, which has really hurt the Sixers this year. He's a large wing, so his defense has been pretty solid. I've liked his effort on the defensive end. He hasn't given much in terms of shot creation. Mm-hmm. He really, he seems to just try and bully his way to the rim, when his shot's not hitting, and then either try and draw a foul or just kind of chuck something up that doesn't have a very high percentage of going in. So, he's been solid. Like his defense is good. So, I'm thinking right in the C range. His 3-point shooting has been kind of disappointing, and the Sixers only have 6 wins, and he's been a big part of that because he's been on the floor a lot. Mm-hmm. So that also is going to factor in a little bit to my rating. I think I would go on the lower end of the C range, because if I think C is very middle, I'm going to go slightly below that. I'd probably go 73, like C minus, right around there.
Okay. I would go flat C, just because I'm not putting as much weight on Kelly Oubre being as much of a driving force in the Sixers' success. Like, I put a lot more of that on the big three, but he's definitely in that second tier of the guys of like the lower tier, but still a starter. So I think I would go 75 flat, even C.
All right, so that bumps him up to a C. Bumps him up to a C.
A 74. 74. C, even. All right, I think that's fair. Caleb Martin, another one of our large wings, an addition this year. Definitely been underwhelming, because whenever you bring a guy in who's new on a free agent contract, there's excitement, and I don't think he's lived up to that so far.
No, he really hasn't. I feel like his jump shot's gotten worse since Miami. I'm just gonna say it. He has a weird hitch in his shot that I don't like, and it's been disappointing. I think, what's he, like 33% from the 3-point line right now?
Low 30.
Yeah. Low 30s. I think he's like 33% right now from the 3-point line, and so he hasn't given us a whole lot. He's not as good on defense as Kelly Oubre, and he came in, we thought he was going to be a big, pivotal piece, and he hasn't lived up to the hype. He's been a little bit slow at times, I feel, and there's a bunch of young guys in this league now that can just run and gun, and I feel like he's getting a little bit behind in certain aspects. So
a step behind was what
he just feels a step behind on everything, on offense, on defense, and there's been flashes. He's hit some good shots, but it's been more, I would say, of a liability than an asset. I think that's part of the reason why, again, they only.
We're gonna keep coming back to
the guys that have been on the floor.
Grades are gonna be that great.
Yeah, the guys that have been on the floor haven't been able to deliver consistent wins. Mm-hmm. So, and when they have, it's been close. They haven't been able to really pull away a whole lot. Mm-hmm. So that being said, I don't want to grade him too harshly, but I don't know. I'm thinking D+, honestly. I'm thinking like 69 or something. Just because it's below a C, which is average, and I just don't think he deserves a C minus. His shot's too broke for that.
Yeah, I was also thinking D+.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. D+, 69 is good. I agree with that completely.
Perfect. If they would be winning games, this would be like a 70.
Well, the whole team grade over the 76ers grade so far, based on expectations, is probably
it's gonna be lower than it's like a D right now. So obviously you have one guy that's playing like an A, and then a whole bunch of other guys.
Yeah. So this has been a bright spot. Another free agent addition, Gershon Yabusele, has been, I don't know what his 3-point percentage is, speaking of those, but I feel like he's been hitting them at a higher rate than we would have expected. So I think that he's going to be above average in his grade.
Yeah, Gershon's whole existence in the NBA is his ability to shoot a 3-point shot, because he's like a big bodied, he's not burly, he's not tall, but he plays in a big man role, right? And so, you think like, man, he could get out rebounded by, the Vucevic's or the like the Vucevic's or the what's Jared Allen's of the world, or the Brook Lopez's, like they're all bigger than him, can out rebound him.
Yeah.
So his ability to exist in the NBA is based off his ability to shoot a 3-pointer. Like that's really what it comes down to, just space the floor. Because if there's no spacing, he's not going to be getting time.
Especially when you're playing with Joel Embiid.
Yes, exactly. And he's delivered on that. He's actually been pretty solid, and I like what I see out of him. He rolls hard on pick and roll. He knows how to set solid screens. I feel like it's an underrated aspect of him. The Sixers run a lot of action up top where they do a lot of like dribble, like DHO dribble handoff action, or they pass it to the wing, then get a screen, and then they work off of it. Like there's a bunch of 2-man games.
Maxey and McCain are perfect for that.
Yeah. There's a bunch of two-man game, either DHOs or just ball screen 2-man games, and he sets very good screens, which is a good aspect to him. He knows how to get in position, and I feel like he's run those actions very well from what I've been seeing. So, I think he's solid. I don't know if I can give him an A 100%. I think he's started like his 3-point percentages the last couple games. He hasn't made quite as many, but he's been very solid. He hasn't put up a ton of points, but he's been good on defense too. So I'm gonna give him like a B+.
Dude, we are on the same page with these. I was thinking
Let's
B+,
go.
because you have to give him credit for how he's played, and I think he's been asked to do more than what we would have expected from him. He's had to step into a lot more than what you'd ideally have
all the
him
Embiid
doing.
minutes, not all of them, but like a lot of those
filling
Embiid
in
minutes, right?
They've had to piece it together. So I think he's stepped up really well, and it seems like, when the Sixers are at full strength, he can be a great asset off the bench. So I like an 88 B+.
Yeah, I like that.
Perfect.
Like that.
There we go. Andre Drummond has missed some time as of late, came back. Another solid guy. I have no real complaints about him. Just been Andre Drummond, which is kind of what they signed him to be.
Yeah, he's been Andre. Sometimes he throws the ball at the rim really hard and tries to draw a foul. Other times he's got really soft hands. Just depends what Andre you're getting that possession. It's very different depending on which time down the floor you are.
Yeah.
So he's been solid, but he's missed some time. So I feel like it would be just a flat C if he didn't miss any time. Since he has, though, you got to go a little bit lower. So just C- probably. He's been okay. Gershon stepped into the Embiid minutes. Just average, I would say. I wasn't expecting much from him anyway.
That's why I would give him a higher C, 76, 77, because I wasn't expecting that much from him. So it's not like he's been disappointing. He hasn't been amazing. He's been solid. So
okay,
I think that I would go a little higher than a 75.
Who'd we give the 74 to? We gave the 74 to
Oubre?
Was it Oubre? Yeah, it was Oubre.
We're forgetting already. I think it was Oubre.
So I don't
compared to Oubre.
I'd take Oubre's season over his season.
Okay.
He's been hurt. So I gotta give him I go 72.
The being available.
Being
Availability
is the best ability.
Okay, so we'll go 73.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Right
73
below.
for Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
KJ Martin. He had a great game against the Magic.
He did.
We can't let recency bias mess with us too much.
It was his only great game.
Yeah.
So every other game was it's very, very underwhelming.
Yes.
So he did have one good game, but if you take the whole season totality of it into account, he hasn't gotten a whole lot of minutes, which means can coach trust him? Can Nick Nurse trust him? I don't know. Maybe going forward he can, but so far season it's been definitely underwhelming. So I don't know. We expected him to be a little bit of a role, but not a whole lot. I think for him, he hasn't even gotten a whole lot of time. So
yeah,
I put him at I don't know. I can't give him above Andre. I think he hasn't been as good as him as a whole season. So I would go like a flat 70.
The exact number I was gonna
Okay.
go.
All right.
That's awesome. Yeah.
There we
We'll
go.
give him the lowest C you can.
Brain length. We're on the same brain length.
What?
Or wavelength. brain length, yeah.
You know what I meant. Next we have Kyle Lowry, who I think if you look at the comment sections of Sixers posts, you would think that according to the fans, he gets an F. Nobody seems to like Kyle Lowry. I think that's
because
a bit harsh.
whenever he's playing, a lot of times McCain isn't playing, so then everybody gets upset that McCain's not playing.
Yeah.
Because he's been so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I don't know. What are your thoughts? You can start on this one. Kyle Lowry.
Again, with a lot of these guys, as we get lower into like the less minutes played, again, I didn't have high expectations for Kyle Lowry, so I don't think we can grade him too harshly of like, how dare you, Kyle Lowry, pushing 40 years old, not be amazing. He definitely hasn't been great. They can't really rely on him as a scorer in any scenario, but again, because they're depleted, they're having to have him do more than they probably would like him to do. So just the team's lack of health around each other makes it tougher on some of these guys that have been playing, of like, you're having to do a lot more than in an ideal situation you would need to. So I think that we've given out a lot of C minuses, so I'm in the C minus D plus fringe range.
Yeah, he started off the year really good from three. He was having an all-time year for him from three-point
for a few
three-point
games.
lines for like 5 games. I think it was at like 44% or something ridiculous through 5
I didn't
games.
realize it was that high.
It was high, but now it's like plummeted.
Yeah.
It's like dropped off a cliff. And so yeah, he just looks like a step behind. He looks like
He looks like he's 38.
Yeah.
Or 39.
Like,
He
I
looks like
don't-
he's in his late 30s.
It's like, how would you expect someone that's like older, I was gonna say old, but I should say older, to keep up with these guys that are like literally 21, 22, and like, you know, it's just tough, you know, and you combine that with being 6'1", and you know, it is what it is, you know. I'm not gonna say anything much more than that. You can't control that.
Kyle Lowry, it is what it is.
He had a good career, but this year, you know, maybe it's over. Maybe it's time to think about retirement. Not because you're a bad guy or a bad player, just because the game has gotten a little bit faster and you've gotten a little bit slower.
Do we go easier on him then? C minus?
I think we just gave out a 70. I think we give another 70 just to be nice to Kyle Lowry. Just be nice to him. You know,
70.
he's had a good career. You gotta respect your veterans.
Yeah. That's why we didn't go to the D range. So C minus.
Yeah,
Speaking of the young guys,
young guys.
Ricky Council the fourth. Fans were clamoring for him to play more ever since last year, and he's finally started to get a few more opportunities, and I think that he's done pretty well with them.
Yeah, he has. He at times he still looks a little out of control. You know, when he's pushing the ball up the floor, he had this.
His limbs, like he just, yeah.
Yeah, he almost
everywhere.
just gets a little too fast. Gets a little too fast. I think that's good. He's going to continue to progress a little bit. Like, Kyle Lowry doesn't have the problem of like reading the floor because he's been doing this for 18 years. He has the problem of like not being able to keep up, really. Ricky Council has the inverse problem where he hasn't had enough experience, so he hasn't been able to like see these defenses, read the defenses quite as much. But he's like insanely athletic and he's like super bouncy.
If we could just combine Kyle Lowry and Ricky Council into one,
Give Kyle Lowry's
player.
IQ to Ricky Council,
That'd be
then
awesome.
That would be great. We'd have a guy that we could rely on and start on each game. But you know, he is progressing. I feel he's gotten some minutes. He hasn't been the most efficient, but he's very athletic, and I really like. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt because I think if he can just get some more time, I think he's going to continue to keep playing hard and developing. So I do like where he's headed. I think it's still in the C range. I don't think I can give him a B, but I think I would give him a high C. I'd give him like a 78 probably.
Okay, I was between C plus, B minus
Yeah.
range, so I'll give him a B minus 80, so that we average out to. We'll give him a C plus.
79. Yeah, high C plus.
Adem Bona. Another, once again, that's just a repetition. He's had to step into places we didn't expect him to be, so we have to factor that in.
He's a rookie too. He's a
Yep.
rookie.
Yeah. Like with McCain, the expectations are a lot lower. We did not expect for him to be our starting center at any point, but when Embiid and Andre Drummond are both out, throw Bona in there. So, I don't think we can be harsh at all on him. He's had some good plays. He's had some very rookie-esque plays. So, similar to Ricky Council's C+, B- range for me.
Yeah, when he steps into that screener and role like that, he does a lot. Like, I mean, he just plays hard. Like, he plays very hard, but he's a rookie. You know, he's not doing anything too crazy out there. He sometimes gets a little out of control, but I didn't expect anything from him anyway. So, you know, I think he hasn't shown a whole lot of flashes either. Like, is this guy really going to be in the league for a long time?
For a second-round pick, the
yeah,
expectations are even lower than they were for a first-round pick.
I know, but I just haven't seen a whole lot that has convinced me that, like, man, this guy's an NBA level player.
Okay.
Like, long term. Like, I think he needs to still develop a little bit more. But he plays really hard, which I like guys who play hard. Like,
Philly appreciates that.
yeah, I appreciate that. Philly appreciates that. So I think for that reason alone, I'm gonna give him a B-,
Wow. Okay.
because
All right.
I didn't expect anything. So my baseline is just a C.
Okay.
But he plays really hard. I honestly don't think he's gonna be in the league for very long. But
we're gonna give him like the fourth highest grade we've given.
yeah,
so
because
far.
he plays hard. And hey, we respect that in
Yes.
Philly. If you play
Yes.
hard, we respect that. And we like you as a person, as a player. So I'm giving him an
Absolutely.
81 because I think he deserves it. He plays hard, and I didn't expect anything from him anyway.
There we go. B-. Last one we got, Eric Gordon.
I don't know. I when I think Eric Gordon, I think Houston Rockets, just pulling up from the corner, shooting 86% from three-point land. And so,
He has not done that.
I had good expectations going into the season, and I was let down. I've been totally let down so far. He hasn't performed. Again, it looks like it's just these veterans, man. The game is getting fast, and so I just don't think he can keep up anymore. He hasn't really shown me anything.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I'm giving it. I don't know what
Okay.
you want me to say. He's not going to be in the league next year, Owen.
Yeah. I was wondering if you would go F, like if the fall off is that
he's
bad.
giving me
and
nothing.
That's
He's giving me nothing.
yeah.
I don't know. Like, what do you
Yeah.
want me to say? Like, can I give him a D? No, I can't. Like, he hasn't done anything.
Yeah. Because expectations again.
I had a
we're
little bit
basing-
high hopes for him too.
Yeah. Yeah. He
Like-
started opening night. Like that's where the
Yeah.
bar was.
Yeah.
He was a starter.
A Den Bono,
now-
right? A Den Bono, I'm not expecting anything. I don't even think he's gonna play.
Yeah.
So that's why I give him a B-. He's playing hard, but he's a starter opening night, and he just hasn't given us anything. He's
Yeah.
just Eric Gordon in his defensive liability.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta give him an F. It's like, man, like you're supposed to be the brightest student in class, or not the brightest student in class, but you're supposed to be able to,
Yeah. You're supposed to be able to hold your own.
hold your own on the group project, and you don't pull your weight. It's like
No.
all your classmates have to start playing and performing for you because you're not doing anything on your Google Doc. It's like you can't get a good grade if you don't even write the paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll give him an F.
We'll finish on a high note with an F.
Yeah.
That was grading all of the 76ers so far in the 2024-25 season. Basically, that was pretty much grading the Sixers for 2024. So then we'll go into 2025. Hopefully, they can all improve their grades before we get to the playoffs. So they're on a little bit of a roll. Maybe not a roll. What's smaller than a roll? Like a slight forward momentum.
Well, I mean, you could do a short roll like in the NBA. You know what I mean?
They're
The short roll, like you're familiar with the short roll, right?
Yeah.
Like Draymond does it
They're
all
on
the
a
time.
bit of a short roll.
They're on a Draymond Green, is what you could say, because Draymond's perfected the short roll.
Yeah.
So they're on a little bit of a Draymond Green right
They've
now.
won a couple of games. They just beat the Magic, who are number 3 in the East. Like they're starting to show potential, and Embiid's on the way back. So I still have hope. some people I think out there have lost hope completely. They're like, burn it to the ground. I still think that they can make the playoffs. Currently, as we record this, they are 5 games out of the 8th seed. So that's not like ridiculous.
Well, and you just have to get to top 10,
Yeah.
really. So, yeah, 100%. Let me pull up the standings right now, Owen. See how many games out of the 10 seed they are.
Yeah.
Because
really, yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have said 8. Really, it's how many out of the 6 seed and out of the 10 seed are you? Because those are like the benchmarks of you're in the playoffs or you're in the play-in. So those are what we want to look at.
They're 5 games back from the 6th seed.
Yeah, that's totally manageable.
And they're 4.5 games back from the 10 seed. There's really not much wiggle room between 6 and 10.
Because the East is awful.
Yeah.
So, and again, the East is awful. So there's still plenty of room for them to get into the playoffs.
Now, the main problem, though, is that, okay, if they get in the playoffs as a 7 or 8 seed, right?
It's the same thing as last year.
Yeah, like the best 2 teams in the league have been on the East Coast at least has been the Celtics and the Cavs.
Yeah.
So if you're a 7 or 8 seed, which they probably will be at this point, unless they go on some crazy streak, then you're going to be playing one of those 2 teams. Do you think they can really beat the Celtics or Cavs in a 7-game series? Like we don't really know, but I'm going to lean towards no.
Yeah.
Just because we haven't seen a whole lot from Embiid. Even Paul George has been hurt a lot, and Maxey hasn't been as efficient. So
now that would line up pretty well with your preseason prediction. You said Sixers 7 seed beat the Cavs in the first round because Donovan Mitchell gets hurt.
That's true.
And then lose to the Celtics.
It could still happen. It could still happen. It's actually looking a little bit more probable.
You kind of, yeah, it's lining up kind of what you said. You said they get off to a slow start. I don't think you were envisioning this.
No, not this slow start. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, a slow start.
You're right. All right, we have to come back
Parker
to that
kinda
end of
nailed
the
it.
year.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Yeah, we'll see how it ends up playing out.
Yeah.
But
a team with a much better playoff outlook are the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll wrap up this episode real quick. There's not a ton to talk about with the Eagles, but we got to talk about the Eagles because they've been amazing. They are hunting for the Eagles are in the hunt for the 1 seed. It's basically come down to a 2-team race at this point with the Eagles and the Lions. There's other teams that technically could make a run at it. Basically, the Packers and the Commanders would be the
and
top
the Vikings.
2. Oh, the Vikings.
Yeah,
I forget about the Vikings.
Yeah,
because I don't believe they're as good as their
Wait,
record.
you don't trust Sam Darnold?
So no,
You sound like me and Baker Mayfield.
I do not. So yeah, technically there's other teams that are within striking distance, but it would take a collapse from the Eagles and the Lions. So really, it's those 2. So we're going to focus on that. Next week, the Eagles play the Steelers and the Bills play the Lions.
Yes.
And those 2 games both happen at 4:25. So everyone's going to be switching between those 2 games.
And they're both really good games, obviously.
Yeah.
You got the Pennsylvania in-state rivalry.
Yep.
And then you have 2 of the best teams in the league. Some might argue the top 2.
Potential Super Bowl preview.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's what that game will be billed as.
Yeah, the Bills Lions are 2 of the best teams in the league. Like you can't argue that. So those 2 games are going to be awesome. Like they're going to be very fun to watch. And that it might come down to that. The Lions have a lot of wiggle room though, because did you see that even if they lose to the Bills,
the tiebreaker?
Yeah, they have the tiebreaker. So, really, what has to happen is the Lions have to lose 2 games.
And the Eagles would have to win out.
Well, no, they could lose.
Or sorry, yeah,
they could lose 1 more.
Yeah.
Because if they're both 14-3, the Eagles get it.
Yeah.
But if they're both 15-2, the Lions get it.
Which is a really confused. It depends on.
Yeah, I don't get it really.
How that falls, which is we'll get into that. We'll like study up on that, and we can explain that to you guys if we get into that scenario. Right now, the Eagles are just focused on winning, which is very possible because they have. I would say of their 5 games, they have 3 games left that they need to win.
Yeah.
The Panthers, Cowboys, and Giants.
They have to win.
You should win those. The Steelers game is the most interesting because that's a really good team. The Commanders are also good, but the Eagles beat them, and I think all Eagles fans feel like they should be able to beat the Commanders again. It would be disappointing if you lose to the Commanders. And then technically, you might not get in this scenario. They could sit starters against the Giants if it's impossible for them to get the 1 seed, or if they've already clinched the 1 seed, so they could lose that. But I think that they should, in these last 5 games, if I had to pick, I would say they have 1 loss.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could have 1 loss. That's the bet, though. It's like, man, they're looking really good right now. Like, could be the best team in the league, honestly. So I want to say that they're not going to have any losses.
If they have the bye,
that would be sweet.
We were worried about this early bye,
yeah,
and then they come out and finish the season undefeated post bye.
Good.
That'd be amazing.
I honestly, based off what I'm looking at right now, like, I don't know. I'm just gonna say I think they're gonna win out. Like,
wow,
Jalen Carter, like,
that's
you
amazing.
can't guard that guy. You know,
the Ravens were holding him.
Yeah,
all game.
the entire game. And then the offensive line, you can't stop
matter.
Saquon. You cannot do it. I'm just gonna say it, like, unless I hedge my bet with the last game of the season. If they're not playing their starters, anything could happen. But
with their starters on the field,
I think they're gonna go undefeated.
Wow.
And I think it is very probable they have another loss thrown in there. Could be to the Steelers, could be to the Commanders, but I just love what I'm seeing, so I'm just gonna bet on them. But
I love that.
I think either outcome is good. Outcome is good.
Mm-hmm.
The 1 or 2 seed is amazing.
Yep.
The Vikings only have 2 losses, so we, and they play the Lions still, I think. So, like, who knows what could happen with that division?
Packers let us down by losing to the Lions. We needed their help.
It would have gotten things so much more messier for the Lions.
Yeah.
But that's all right. The Eagles are looking great. Their defense looks really solid. Obviously, we talked about Jalen Carter.
Speaking of expectations, we did not have this type of expectation for the defense.
Oh my goodness, that's an A+ right there.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter, that's an A+. Like, I looked up how many pounds Jordan Davis weighs. I think it's 344, Owen.
He's like 6'8",
I think
right?
it's 344.
He's a massive human being.
Yeah, 5 days ago I looked. 336. He's 336 pounds. Like, man, how do you block 336 pounds? Like, I can't even. Can I pick up? I can barely.
Could you deadlift?
I could maybe deadlift 336, but it would probably be my 1 rep max. Yeah, probably. So, like,
next episode or next YouTube video, Parker deadlifts Jordan Davis.
Yeah, like, we just collab on a video. It's just, oh my goodness. No, he's just a massive human. Like, Milton Williams.
Like, the whole defensive line has really stepped up. Like, the beginning of the year,
Reed Blankenship.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Like, they're so good. They're so good. Everybody is just delivered. Everybody. There's not one guy that I can think of right now, besides
Bryce Huff.
Agent Zero, besides Bryce Huff, that's let me down. So, I mean, like, we could go on and on about the Eagles. And then Saquon, obviously, I think he should be the MVP.
Yeah.
To me, it's clear. And what I'm really hoping that happens is that Josh Allen, even though I want them to beat the Lions, I hope he just has one of those Jared Goff games where he throws 5 picks. And because then Saquon would be the favorite for MVP.
It'd be him and Lamar.
I need Saquon to
Eagles
win.
beat Lamar.
Exactly.
So. And Saquon 2-0 against Lamar in his career, which is hilarious that he beat him on the Giants.
That's true.
And then with the Eagles. I agree. Normally, I'm the, like, stats-based argument guy for this type of thing. And obviously, Saquon has the stats. Josh Allen also has the stats. But I think the best case for Saquon is, if you watch the Eagles games, they always have Saquon bail them out. Like, there will be times.
The fourth quarter, Saquon's
every
break
single
off a run.
time. The offense is, like, kind of slow. It's been like a couple drives where it's like, we need to pull away in this game. And Saquon does it every single time.
It's like clockwork. We watch the games every single weekend, and like clockwork, sometime in the second half, Saquon is going to hit the hole. There's going to be a hole. He slips through it, and he gets yards. He gets yards like clockwork. Every single explosive play after explosive play. I haven't seen that since LaShawn McCoy with the Eagles. And LaShawn McCoy was more like just shifty. He wasn't like hit the hole like this with Saquon. Like, Saquon is better than LaShawn McCoy. Like, he is just insane. And his top line speed. He's literally one of the fastest people in the entire league. He is just amazing. We could go on and on about Saquon.
Yeah, he's been ridiculously good. He's been so good to the point that it worries me about the rest of the team almost. Like he's so much the team's MVP that I'm a bit concerned if we get into a playoff game and the offense is struggling and it's like if Saquon doesn't break off a run, we're gonna lose. Like he's been so good that it's making me worry a little bit about everyone else's capability to step up because he's always the one who steps up.
Yeah, 100%.
And the offensive line, of course, they've been incredible. They work as a team.
Another argument you can make for Saquon in this MVP race is that the Eagles have the lowest amount of pass attempts in the entire league. They have the highest amount of rush attempts.
Yeah.
They've just been feeding Saquon.
Yeah.
So he literally, like, Jalen Hurts has been solid, but Saquon, there's a reason why he's the second favorite right now because they've just been feeding Saquon. And he's literally gotten the same amount of rush attempts almost per game, like 5 less than Jalen Hurts has had pass attempts per game. Mm-hmm. So, and he's done so much with those. I think he's almost at 1,500 yards already. And that's just running. Then he has another 300 some through the air. So, Saquon has just been electric and really, really fast. I mean, I think it's so cool that he's back in his state of PA. Like he went to college here. Now he's back here. It was only a 2-hour drive, to get back. And he's playing behind an amazing O-line that he never had. It's like we should have seen this coming, And we did.
We really should have. We were too hesitant.
I mean, I think we had the record, though. Like, we predicted the Eagles would do good. We just didn't think it would be this much of Saquon. Like, this is a heavy Saquon diet.
Mm-hmm.
But
and the defense is way better than we expected. Both of those things together.
Do you think? What would you prefer? Okay, what would you prefer? Would you prefer Saquon Barkley? Would you rather? Would you rather Saquon Barkley? Just choose one. Saquon Barkley, or to never have to worry about eating again. And what I mean by that is we were talking earlier about the food aspect.
You brought it back. Beginning of episode, end of episode.
Yes. Would you prefer Saquon Barkley, just him as a person right now on the Eagles, like just having him on the Eagles right now, what we're watching, or for your lifetime to never have to worry about like eating again? Like, or not worry, but have people be like, oh, you don't eat fast enough, blah, blah, blah. Because those people know who they are.
Yeah. Love you, Saquon. I would take the eating because you said for the rest of my life.
Oh, wait, what if we had...
That's way longer than Saquon's lifespan of the Eagles.
Hold on. And let me make the timelines clear. Saquon for another 5 years, and the eating thing for
the same
period.
Then I would take Saquon.
Okay,
that balances it out. Balances the scales.
Makes sense.
I would take Saquon then. That's a great hypothetical. I would go Saquon. I'll suck it up for those 5 years, and I will eat food while I'm watching Saquon, and that'll bring me enjoyment, and that'll help offset it.
Yes, exactly.
My last thing with that is I think that the only way he gets MVP is if he breaks the rushing record.
I think
unfortunately,
I think you have to combine that with also. I think even if he breaks it, you have to have a bad Josh Allen game. Because
really?
Josh Allen hasn't won.
If Saquon sets the rushing record all time, and he still doesn't get MVP, people will be so upset and have even more. It's a quarterback only award.
Well, and
than they've had in previous years.
Josh Allen has never gotten an MVP before.
True.
I think it's lining up for it to be Josh Allen. He has to have a blow up game, is what I'm saying. Like, I need him to have a blow up game, because if not, I think he's winning it. Because look at the odds right now. He's minus 200 favorite. Saquon's, I think, plus 300. And that's factored in. He's on pace to beat the rushing record. So the betting odds have factored that in, and he's still not the favorite. You see what I'm saying?
That's true. Like you're saying something would have to change.
Something would have to change.
If they keep their current pace.
Yes, if they keep their current pace, Josh Allen's going to get it. So Josh Allen needs to have a blow-up game combined with Saquon beating the record is what I think needs to happen.
Yeah.
Which is very not probable.
Yeah.
But it could happen. Jared Goff threw 5 picks, so it could happen. I just think that's what would have to happen. The people would be so mad. Philly would be so mad if he doesn't get it.
Yeah. Okay, so that the positive spin here to end the episode is we have a positive outcome regardless in the Buffalo Detroit game. Actually, now that I say it out loud, I was gonna say either like Josh Allen loses or the Lions lose, and that we like both of those for different reasons. Worst case scenario is
They tie.
well, is it? Is that worst case? I think worst case is the Lions win, but Josh Allen balls out. Like it's a shootout.
Oh, right.
Josh Allen, the Bills put up 40 but lose to the Lions.
That would be
Best case scenario, Josh Allen does terrible and the Bills still somehow win. That's what we're rooting for.
Yeah, exactly. Did you keep track of that? Keep track of that in your head.
You guys understood, right? Yeah. Thank you guys for watching another episode or listening to another episode of All Philly All the Time. Next time we are here, it will be our last episode of 2024.
Whoa.
We said we were getting ahead of 2025, not that far ahead.
Right.
So yeah, there will be some exciting stories from Luke from Canada. I'm sure that's the big thing. End of year episode. Tune in to hear about the 5-star Michelin restaurant from Luke.
Yes, and hopefully a Canadian story or two, or maybe a flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he went through Buffalo. So speaking of the Bills, maybe he can sabotage Josh Allen for us.
True.
So
True.
yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Can't wait to hear about Canada, Luke.
Peace.